thousands have been wounded, and we've spent trillions. Trump's dangerous escalation brings us closer to another disastrous war in the Middle East that could cost countless lives and trillions more dollars. Trump promised to end endless wars, but this action puts us on the path to another one. I wouldn't say it put us on the path. He moved us further down the path we were already on.
Yeah, and I remember back when Hillary was running, and we said dogmatically on this program, you don't need to go any farther if you're looking for credentials, and this was in 2016, than the fact that Hillary voted for the Iraq War, and somehow Bernie Sanders had the vision to vote against it. And now he alone has said, I'm not going to apologize to anybody, but this is a dangerous blunder, and he is calling it what it is. And you watch these establishment Dems equivocate. You watch the corporate media tiptoe around this when there should be calls for absolute protest immediately. Mm-hmm. Take a day off work, cancel your plans, whatever it takes. We'll meet you in Washington, D.C. Not a million-man march. Don't put a limit on it.
Yeah.
Get there and get there fast. Don't wait for the next move. Get there and get there fast.
Bernie Sanders followed up with a tweet just in the last little bit. He said, I was right about Vietnam. I was right about Iraq. I will do everything in my power to prevent a war with Iran. I apologize to no one. Right there is what a statesman sounds like.
Yeah, unlike the establishment Dems that we have been fed for decades now. Mm-hmm. You know, there are peace advocates out there, but their voices are going to be calmed by the media, all right? Mm-hmm. But we are saying on this show, this is a very real prospect of all-out conflict. Bottom line, you heard it here. You may not hear that on mainstream media. With the following, the assassination Thursday night of the country's top military leader on orders from U.S. Trump, war hawks have had their crosshairs trained on Iran for years. And now today they're enthusiastically celebrating. You can throw Netanyahu in there.
And where are you reading this from again?
This is another article by Common Dreams. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to take it a step farther. There have been suggestions that the president should go further by targeting the nation's oil refineries. How do I know this? Well, prior to this action last night, which is scary, I had, for this show, I was going to read to you this comment from a general to the Iranian government. And I quote, and this is on the Common Dreams post. If you want to stay in the oil business, leave America and our allies alone and stop being the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Tweeted, excuse me, that wasn't a general. That was Lindsey Graham, Republican, South Carolina, longtime supporter of regime change in Iran. So they've got step 2 already planned.
And elsewhere.
And they're going to go after step 2 vigorously.
I tell you what, and Jack, you and I talked about this before we started recording today's show. Every single war hawk that's out there supporting all this action, you should be the first ones to sign up, get your boots on, get your camouflage on, go to basic training, and get out there.
Yeah, what's Trump's son's name? The guy that ripped off the kids' cancer charity? What's that?
The whole bunch of them are crooks.
Yeah, put him in line first.
The whole goddamn bunch of them are crooks.
Yeah, get your boots on. Pay back the money you stole from kids suffering from cancer.
Yeah.
And you get over there to Iran.
Yeah. I want to continue the AP story here. Says, however, the attack may act as a deterrent for Iran and its allies to delay or restrain any potential response. Oil prices surged on news of the airstrike, and markets were mixed. Yeah, oil went up 3%.
And it's going to keep going up.
I'm gonna make a prediction right here. You've heard it first on this show. I remember right after September 11th happened, gas shot up to $4 a gallon. You want to bet that won't happen again? I guarantee it does. And it might go up more.
A pretty safe bet. You just heard the threat that Lindsey Graham threw out there. Right in the middle of this whole thing is the oil in Iran.
Let me continue. The killing promised to strain relations with Iraq's government, which is allied with both Washington and Tehran, and has been deeply worried about becoming a battleground in their rivalry. Iraqi politicians close to Iran called for the country to order U.S. forces out of the country. The Defense Department says that it killed the 62-year-old Soleimani because he, quote, was actively developing plans to attack American diplomats and service members in Iraq and throughout the region, end of quote. It also accused Soleimani of approving the orchestrated violent protest at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. The strike on an access road near Baghdad's airport was carried out Friday by a U.S. drone, according to a U.S. official. Soleimani had just disembarked from a plane arriving from either Syria or Lebanon, a senior Iraqi security official said. The blast tore his body to pieces, along with that of Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, deputy commander of the Iranian-backed militias in Iraq known as the Popular Mobilization Forces. A senior politician said Soleimani's body was identified by the ring he wore. Iran state television said Friday a total of 10 people were killed in the airstrike, including 5 Revolutionary Guard members and Soleimani's son-in-law, whom he did not identify. The officials spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to talk to reporters. The attack comes at the start of the year in which Trump faces both a Senate trial following his impeachment by Congress and a re-election campaign. It marks a potential turning point in the Middle East and represents a drastic change for American policy toward Iran after months of tensions. And let's just stop there for a second. You don't think that Trump did this to start firing up support among his base so that he can get reelected?
Darren, I have one quote for you for that question. There's nothing more foolish than the obvious to those who are unwilling to admit the truth. It is so clear. It is so obvious. This egomaniac in the corner will take us all down rather than take any burden of guilt. Trump thinks he got his bin Laden moment in an election year. The senior research analyst Sanaya Tosi of the National Iranian American Council says in reality, Trump has made the worst strategic mistake by an American leader since the Iraq invasion. The consequence will be felt for years, if not resulting sooner in a world war. These aren't pundits of some crank liberal news. This is the senior research analyst of the National Iranian American Council saying that this is the worst strategic mistake by any American leader since the Iraq invasion. And you know what? This could be worse. As big a blunder as that was, this could be worse.
Yep.
This could be the last card to deck.
It very well could be. I want to continue the story here. The tensions are rooted in Trump's decision in May 2018 to withdraw the U.S. from Iran's nuclear deal with world powers struck under his predecessor, Barack Obama. Of course, because Trump hates everything that Obama did. Oh, no, the black man can't do anything. I need to reverse everything the black man did. Sorry, it's racism. I'm just calling it right here as I see it, folks. It's racism by Trump, which, by the way, their family has a very long history of racism. Take a look at some of the rentals in New York City that his dad had. Let me continue. Since then, Tehran shot down a U.S. military surveillance drone and seized oil tankers. The U.S. also blames Iran for other attacks targeting tankers and a September assault on Saudi Arabia's oil industry that temporarily halved its production. Supporters of Friday's strike said it restored U.S. deterrence power against Iran, and Trump's allies were quick to praise the action. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted, quote, "To the Iranian government, if you want more, you will get more," end of quote. Trump's former national security advisor John Bolton tweeted, quote, "Hope this is the first step to regime change in Tehran," end of quote. Yeah, that war hawk. That mustached son of a bitch ought to be the first one on the front lines. My opinion. Others, including Democratic White House hopefuls, criticized Trump's order. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden said that Trump had, quote, "tossed a stick of dynamite into a tinderbox," end of quote, saying it could leave the U.S., quote, "on the brink of a major conflict across the Middle East," end of quote. And by the way, you know where Trump is right now? He's vacationing at his private club in Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah. Hey, I'll let you continue reading that. But here's what I say to Biden. Biden, that's real forceful. Sticking dynamite, powerful. Yep, that's a good metaphor. You should have said, this unprovoked attack on officials and sovereign nations is a war crime. There was no consulting with Congress. There was no authorization. You're not going to hear that from the mainstream media.
No.
But that's the truth.
Do these Republicans even read the Constitution? Who has war powers in this country, Jack?
Well,
is
Biden
it the president?
Said he'd run with a Republican now for president in 2020,
yeah.
So he should ask the Republicans what they think.
Yeah, exactly. Let me continue here. The potential for a spiraling escalation alarmed U.S. allies and rivals alike. France's Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Emilie de Montchalin, told RTL Radio, quote, "We are waking up in a more dangerous world," end of quote. The European Union warned against a generalized flare-up of violence. Russia condemned the killing, and fellow Security Council member China said it was highly concerned. Ibrahim Bayram, a political analyst with Lebanon's An-Nahar newspaper, said the U.S.-Iran tensions had now entered a new phase, quote, "an open conflict with no horizon," end of quote.
That's a scary description.
While Iran's conventional military has suffered under 40 years of American sanctions, Iran can strike asymmetrically in the region through its allied forces like Lebanon's Hezbollah, Iraqi militias, and Yemen's Houthi rebels. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah called on the resistance the world over to avenge Soleimani's killing. Frictions over oil shipments in the Gulf could also increase, and Iran's elite Revolutionary Guard has built up a ballistic missile program. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that, folks.
Yeah, they're no Iraq. You're not going to march across Iran like you did in Iraq and have Bush cheering on the sidelines. They have an army. They have nuclear capability. And they have the possibility of alignment from, as they've already said, other countries in the region. We were counting those countries off a few minutes ago before airtime. And let's just throw a few names out. You got Lebanon, who is more than inclined. Whatever's left of Syria. But the big name out there is China, which has shown indication previously that they would align with Iran.
Here's some more international response to this. Israeli Defense Minister Naftali Bennett held a meeting with top security officials Friday, but the Israeli military said it was not taking any extraordinary action on its northern front other than closing a ski resort in the Golan Heights near Lebanon and Syria as a precaution. In the United Arab Emirates, a key U.S. ally in the Gulf, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Anwar Gargash called for rational engagement and a calm approach. Let's see, an Emirati political analyst said the U.S. strike could help restore confidence among Gulf leaders that Washington will push back against their rival Iran, but added they also don't want to be caught in the middle. And this was the quote that was used. Is the region ready for a sharp escalation? We are the closest to the theater than anyone on earth, and that's the United Arab Emirates. Unbelievable. Iraqi Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi condemned the strike as an aggression against Iraq. An emergency session of Parliament was called for Saturday, which the Deputy Speaker Hassan al-Kabi said would take decisions that put an end to the U.S. presence in Iraq. Yeah, maybe it's time we get out, not just there, but everywhere. You know, do we need to remind you folks? I guess we do. Can I play Carlin for a minute, Jack?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, here we go.
Well, we like war. We like war. We're a warlike people. We like war because we're good at it. You know why we're good at it? Because we get a lot of practice. This country's only 200 years old, and already we've had 10 major wars. We average a major war every 20 years in this country, so we're good at it. And it's a good thing we are. We're not very good at anything else anymore. Huh? Can't build a decent car, can't make a TV set or a VCR worth of Got no steel industry left, can't educate our young people, can't get health care to our old people, but we can bomb the out of your country, all right? Huh? We can bomb the out of your country, all right? Especially if your country is full of brown people. Oh, we like that, don't we? That's our hobby. That's our new job in the world, bombing brown people. Iraq, Panama, Grenada, Libya, you got some brown people in your country. Tell them to watch the